Behind me is my 2008 Chevrolet Impala. I've owned this thing for about 2 years, and I think it's time I tell you a little bit about it. So where did I buy this car? I bought it off of a used car lot here in town. It is proven to me that it is a very reliable car. It's got 150,000 miles on it now, but whenever I bought it, it had 132,000 on it. So within the 2 years, I put a fair amount of miles on it. However, it seems to be running just fine. Everything pretty good. It does have a minor oil leak, but I'm not too worried about that. Although it did have a pretty bad one shortly after I bought the car. One of the gaskets around the oil filter housing adapter went bad, and because of that, it would leak all 4 quarts out the next day. So I had to get that fixed, and that took several hours to change that out. And unfortunately, I don't have any footage of that. So it was a pain in the butt to fix. But other than that, it was pretty good. Once that was fixed, I still have minor oil leak at the oil pan gasket, but I'm not too worried about it. It leaks so little now, I really don't have to fill it. But it's just kind of annoying, though, because it leaves spots all over the driveway. But other than that, it's a good car. It has an aftermarket radio in it. I put that in because the factory radio was just an AM/FM radio with a CD player. So very lacking in features. Now this particular car was owned by the state of Missouri at one point in Kansas City, and it was actually a state fleet car. Used for what? I don't know. I just know that much. And one thing I was surprised about with this car is how basic this thing is. Apparently the fleet model doesn't even have rear folding seats, which is kind of annoying when you have big items that you want to take with you, but you have no way of putting it in there. Now one thing I really like about this car is, despite the fact you can't fold down the back seats, you got plenty of trunk room. You can put all your tools in from work because you got laid off because of COVID-19, and even though that happened, and I have a lot of stuff in here right now, there's still plenty of room to at least put this rock in here. And many of its buddies. So I'm very impressed with the size of the trunk of this car. A couple of other things I had to do to the car was I had to get the windshield repaired because the windshield started leaking right around here at the seam. Now with that said, because that water was running down inside the A-pillar, down behind the dashboard, into the cab and onto the floor, which then soaked the carpet in water. And because of that, I would hop in this thing and have my feet in a pool of water. And if you want to find out, and if you want to see me put the carpet in the car, there is a video on the channel, so go ahead and check that out. Now with that said though, I did have to replace the entire carpet on it because it started having black mold grow in the carpet. So I guess it's been doing it for a long time, and then eventually I saw it. Now I had the windshield replaced in this car because they couldn't repair it. They tried to repair it around here, but both times, they tried it twice, both times they tried to repair it, it would still leak. And even I told them, it's like, pull it out and replace it. And whenever they pulled the windshield out, they discovered something they didn't think they were going to expect. Instead of the proper sealant like they're supposed to use, whoever installed this thing before, which I have no idea who it was, because this windshield has been replaced before I even owned it, whoever installed the last windshield in it apparently didn't use the proper sealant. Instead, they decided to use a brown putty of some kind. As a matter of fact, they don't even know what kind of putty it was. And as for interior room, there was plenty of it. I could stretch my legs out, stretch my arms out, and I feel comfortable. It's not like a small car where you are cramped like this, driving down the road. That's literally how I feel in some small cars, really. Even though I'm not like that, but I feel like I'm like this. Although, sitting up like this more. Yeah, I'm goofy. Just forgive me for that, okay? And what's nice about this car is there's even plenty of room in the rear seat. I don't have to sit back here and have my knees touch the chair, as I commonly do have problems with that in most cars. This car was well thought out, in my opinion, and they need to make more cars like this. So driving characteristics of this car. Well, I would have to say that it's fairly soft, but yet it's not so soft that you feel like you're floating on water. You know, it's just about right. You know, nice and comfortable to ride, but yet you don't feel like you're driving a big boat, even though this thing is big. But it's not as big as you may think. Well, it might be. To be honest, this thing's roughly the same size as a Chevy Caprice. But the irony of this thing is that this 08 Impala, you have more room in it than you would in a Caprice. The Caprice, on the other hand, because even though it's as big as it is, it's got a larger trunk, so that means you have less space for the rear seat, and on top of that, you have a rear-wheel drive vehicle, so you need room underneath the floor for the transmission to go in, along with the drive shaft. This car is front-wheel drive, and because of that, you don't have to worry about, transmission and the drive shaft eating up space inside your car, which is nice. The only downside is, though, if you want to go to the racetrack, this thing is not ideal. Although, to be honest, I don't think a Caprice is either. So, with that said, this thing is just a good, comfortable daily driver. Fuel mileage, General Motors claim this car gets 18 miles to the gallon in city and 22 highway, if I remember correctly. However, I managed to get 22 in city driving, and I don't know the highway driving. I never bothered to estimate because I drive in town. Honestly, it's not that bad on gas, despite how big it is. The particular engine in this one is the 3.5-liter V6. This particular one is the flex fuel model, so they made two versions. You get a version that just consumed regular gasoline, or you get one that ran off of E85. Now this one can run off of E85, but I don't put E85 in it. I just put 87 octane gasoline in it, your standard unleaded fuel. So, to be honest, this thing, in my opinion, is the ideal daily driver. Nice and roomy, comfortable, and to be honest, after a long days of work, all you want to do is be comfortable, right? This thing is ideal. So you can enjoy a ride home without, getting bruises basically by a stiff suspension. Downside to this car is because of its length. I have noticed this though, if you go kind of faster on a turn, it has a tendency to understeer, which I'm not going to go very fast on a turn for the video because I'm just driving along, and also I don't want to potentially get a speeding ticket. But despite despite all the minor stuff, I must say this car is pretty good. To be honest though, I wish I had the old 80s Ford LTD. That would be really cool to have. Wilson's got that, and honestly, I want one of those. But the thing is, though, even though I want one of those, I don't want to get rid of this thing. It's that good. So that's a little video on my car. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, and please sure to check out other videos on this channel. We hope that you will consider subscribing and consider watching our content. We enjoy making these videos for you, and we hope to entertain you. Although this might have not entertained you, and if not, let us know so that way we can figure out something else. Anyway, we'll see you next time.